If you are in the market for an entry-level luxury SUV that has great handling and phenomenal acceleration, that is an EV by the way, all-electric vehicle, it has great technology such as Google Assistant built into the infotainment system within the interior, and something that might even surprise some people, whether they're sitting in the passenger seat or maybe sitting next to you at a red light, because the acceleration of this model is surprising. 0 to 60 is, according to Volvo, 4.7 seconds, but I actually have done it in as quick as 4.4. Well, this 2022 Volvo XC40 that I borrowed from my friends at Home's Volvo Cars might be something that you should consider. If you're wanting to know what's new for 2022 on all XC40 Recharge models, you will not only find smartphone wireless charging, and why do I say smartphone wireless charging? If you still own a flip phone, well, you won't be able to wirelessly charge your flip phone. In fact, tell me down in the comments if you still own a flip phone. That would be interesting to know, or any other older model of cell phone other than a smartphone. Also, another great addition to all of these pure electric models of the XC40 is the 360-degree view camera. And I got a little bit of footage to show you when I was driving through or being taken through the car wash at the car dealership before I took this model out, so that it was nice and clean and none of the correction Nazis would have reason to say anything in the comments about the fact that this model was dirty. And if you're wondering what exactly are the exterior differences that might allow somebody to spot an XC40 Pure Electric, there's not really a big difference. The biggest is going to be seen right here on the front end with the design of the front end. It's really not a front grille because obviously there's no engine under the hood here. And there's one other difference, and that difference is found right here where it says Recharge. But since that blends in right there so much, I guess if you really wanted to, you could have some vinyl lettering made to make that stand out. Depends on what you want to do. But those are the two differences. And one other thing that definitely would separate this model out is when you surprise people taking off with rather quick acceleration from a red light, it would be nice to see the look on their faces, because they probably don't know the difference between this model and any other model of the XC40. Obviously there's not an engine here, so you do have a frunk, something you wouldn't normally hear about when you consider a vehicle such as a Volvo, but obviously this being an EV, well, there is indeed a frunk here. And we'll talk a little bit more about overall cargo space shortly when we jump into the rear cargo area. But the most important question that people are likely going to have about one of these models is, how far can I drive on one charge? Well, let's work our way through the information that will give us those numbers. Horsepower comes in at 402, 486 pound-feet of torque. The transmission is a shift-by-wire single speed, and ultimately power makes its way to the ground via all-wheel drive. With all that power and torque, that is very important to have, by the way. And here are the fuel economy numbers. 92 city, 79 highway, 39 kilowatt hours per every 100 miles driven, and all that is going to bring the numbers to a combined total of 85 miles. What does that translate to when it comes to the overall distance you can drive? That's something else that's new for this model year of 2022, by the way. It increases from last year's 208 miles, let me get that number right, to 223. And I know a lot of people are going to say, well, that's not a significant increase. And I realize that it's not a big jump at all. But what it does show is that Volvo is working towards improving the overall distance that their EV vehicles can be driven on a single charge. One thing that will not change no matter what version of the XC40 you get is that you have a hands-free tailgate. Let's see if we can, there we go, I got it anyway. I didn't think I hit it in the right area, but you will have that hands-free power tailgate. So let's talk a little bit about the differences between the Pure Electric and other models as far as cargo space and towing capacity goes. With the other models outside of the P8 that we're looking at today, you're looking at 20.7 cubic feet all the way up to 47.2 with the rear seat area down. And towing numbers are going to come in at 3,500. Here's the difference when you step into the EV. Cargo space changes to 14.58 cubic feet to a maximum of 4739 or 47.39 cubic feet. And the towing capacity drops to 3,307 pounds as opposed to the 3,500. And of course, you can lower those rear seats and all the typical stuff you would normally do. You're going to have your pass-through there in the middle if you want to go skiing or whatever you might want to do. Let's talk a little bit about your charging options, and of course, where do you plug in to charge? And everything comes with the vehicle. It's not something you have to pay for as an added option. It's going to come standard, so you'll have all your cables for connectivity. That's not a problem. And of course, right here is where you're going to connect to do that. And you have multiple options for that. And obviously, it's going to depend, number one, on how much money you want to spend, and obviously how much time you have or how quickly you need to charge. So there are multiple options for that. You can have the 110. You can also have the 220 that's going to charge the quickest. And you can even use a standard wall outlet if you want to, but obviously that's going to take a really long time. Okay, in case you're wondering what the remote looks like, well, it's really no different than any other XC40 model, but let's hop inside here and show you what the differences are when you get inside of this model. As soon as you hop in, this XC40 recognizes the remote is inside, and there is no button to push to start anything. So all we have to do is, let me move the camera down here, is go down here to the shifter, and here's what's going to happen. Notice I haven't pushed any buttons or anything like that. I'm just going to put it into drive, and now we're ready to go. And so that's how the system ultimately works. And as you can see, it's really pretty simple. So I'm going to go back into park and just kind of show you around here. A lot of this is going to look like your typical Volvo XC40. But of course, there is one thing that's standard here. You've got the blinker lever right there. You notice that little indicator that's blinking up there, that arrow, and now it's going to the left instead of the right. That's what happens when you're driving down the road. When you're turning to the right or changing lanes to the right, you push it into the up position. See that right there? And then when you're turning to the left or changing lanes to the left, you push it into the down position. And as novel as it sounds, it lets people around you know what you're doing. Imagine that. And let's take a look at the camera views. I did talk about the fact that you have the 360-degree view camera. Of course, you've got a lot of great features and functionality here as well. Of course, wireless charging is right down here, and I will pull my phone out just so you can see that work. See how easy it is. You're just going to stick your smartphone down there. Like I said, for you folks that don't have smartphones, well, unfortunately, it's not going to work. There we go. It's a little slow to recognize the phone. But here is a change that obviously happened in 2021, but it's here again in 2022. It's Google Assistant. Hey, Google, how much charge do I have left?
Your battery is at 95%.
And of course, when it comes to setting your destinations and all that kind of stuff, you're going to not only get to do this, I'm not going to take the time to do it, but I'm just going to show you real quick what's here. It will actually show you on the screen how far you can drive on the charge you have remaining. So that's really good. And let's take a look here with the rear view camera, basically what we saw earlier. So if you're wondering, can you see that without being in reverse? Well, the answer is obviously yes. Going to go down here, and this is going to allow us to make a lot of changes to the vehicle, different settings and everything. You've got drive mode. You actually have an off-road mode right there, and I realize this is not going to be a big-time off-roading vehicle, but it does have some capabilities. And then driving dynamics, one pedal. What exactly is that? That means, let's see, when you turn that on right there, that means that you're basically using regenerative braking. You don't have to use the brake pedal, or it's very limited when you're driving down the road as to how much brake you have to apply. It can actually bring the vehicle to a stop, and it's actually recharging the battery as it does that. Takes some getting used to, but it is there, but you can still use the brakes like you normally would if you wanted to. And just for the heck of it, we'll just run through some of the features here as far as the menu goes, just to show you what is here. And of course, you can adjust your sound, Bluetooth, all that stuff there, Wi-Fi. Everything is so easy to get to. Connectivity right there, very easy to do. And I meant to click on sound right there. There's your sound. You can make changes there. So obviously everything is very easy to figure out here. It's like anything else. People say these systems, these infotainment systems in the Volvos are a little challenging to learn. I don't think they really are. It's just like anything else. Once you get used to it, it's not that bad. And let's see here. We'll just take a look. Of course, we don't have a profile in here, for me at least. And there's Google right there. If you want to do something with that, Google Assistant, all that good stuff. You can send feedback to Google if you like it or if you don't. Okay, here we go. The most enjoyable part, the test drive. Even if this isn't the fastest EV out there, it is definitely a lot of fun to drop the electric pedal. I almost said gas pedal, but the power pedal maybe is a better way to put it. I don't know, but it's fun to drop the electric hammer. Wow, there's all kinds of terminology I think I could use. But you know what really stinks is when you have slowpokes in front of you like I do right now. So let's see if we can get around these people. That should be absolutely no problem. And another thing that is really good about this model is the fact that even though we're on a really bad road right now, very washboarded out, the interior is quiet. And honestly, that's not unusual with an XC40, of course, but being that it's a lot more quiet than usual, you're going to hear a little bit more than usual, but it's not as bad as you might expect. Okay, I'm going to show you a couple of things here, or one thing we'll say. We're going to go down to one pedal, and we're going to go right there. We're going to turn that on, and hopefully you've got a good view of the driver's footwell. And one other thing that I wanted to mention, I didn't mention earlier in the test drive, is when you put the vehicle in gear, it's not like having a gas engine. It doesn't just automatically kind of start moving at idle. You have to give it a little bit of power to do that, we'll say. So what I'm going to do here, there is nobody behind me, so I'm going to get down here. We're going to get up to the speed limit of 55 miles an hour and see how long it takes to stop without me touching the brake pedal. Let's see, hopefully you can see that. We're almost there, almost there, almost there, almost to a complete stop. Oh my goodness. There we go, we came to a complete stop. So that's pretty interesting to see. I'm going to turn one pedal back off and we'll have a little fun here from this angle. Wow. I mean, I can't imagine driving whatever the Tesla is, the Plaid or whatever it is that is supposed to do 0 to 60 in less than 2 seconds. And I've been in race cars that could do it in less than 1, but you know, it's so funny how that works when you're out driving on the racetrack. Your mind makes a change, I think is the best way to put it. Your brain just kind of is more ready for that than I think it is on the street like this. So I don't know, maybe that's just my personal opinion on the matter. But of course, as we go through the corner here, just kind of showing you that we're cruising along pretty good and having absolutely no trouble making it through that corner. I wasn't going all that fast, but fairly minimal body roll for not being something that has been tuned as a high-performance vehicle, a high-performance chassis or suspension or anything like that. So tell me down in the comments if you are in the market for an all-electric SUV. Is this something you are considering? If not, tell me what is the front runner for your potential decision when it comes to what you'll ultimately buy. Gotta say a special thanks to my friends at Holmes Volvo Cars for loaning me this model for the day, and all of you for taking the time to watch and give me the opportunity to give you a vision for your next vehicle. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to check out another of the videos that's right over here on the screen, and I'll see you there.